There we go. Welcome, everyone. Super excited to have you all here. So this is our workshop all about the rushing woman syndrome, and we'll go into some detail about what that is in just a minute, and natural stress management. So let me just show you here what we're going to be covering tonight. So we'll go over the basics of what rushing woman syndrome is. We'll talk a little bit more about how it affects the nervous system, reproductive system, digestive system. And then we're going to switch over into natural solutions, foods that can help you to de-stress, lifestyle changes, and other things that you can do to help manage this. So just kind of a quick tip, this is not a medical advice call. Please talk to your doctor before you make any changes to your diet or lifestyle, including taking supplements. We are sharing our experiences and tips to help you because we have totally been there. We have had the rushing woman syndrome ourselves. So if you don't already know me, my name is Tracy Black. This is me with my husband here. And about 10 years ago, I experienced rushing women's syndrome. I didn't really know what it was back then. I just knew that I felt burned out. I was always stressed. I was in a rush. I was very irritable, especially to my family. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I was like, am I going through early menopause? What is this? And I didn't know. And so some of the symptoms I was feeling was I was tired in the mornings, but I was wired late at night. It was really hard for me to settle down. In fact, I still kind of struggle with this a little bit today. I used to have caffeine consistently just to get through the day if I needed to get anything done. And it got to a point where it was more than mood swings and fatigue. I was noticing that my hormones were completely out of whack. And really the telltale thing was once I got my hormone test back, I found that I had estrogen dominance. And we're going to go over that in just a little bit, but I had too much estrogen, not enough progesterone. And I thought it was just a hormone thing, right? It was early stages of adrenal fatigue, but really there was kind of more going on here that I'm going to be sharing in just a minute. But the good news is with diet, lifestyle changes, and natural solutions, I was able to turn it around and get my body back into balance. So that's me. I'm Tracy. Stacy Cook is also on the call, and she's going to introduce herself in just a little bit and go over more on the natural solutions. So I'm going to kick it over to what is rushing women syndrome? Like, what is this? This might be kind of a new concept to you. This was a term coined by Dr. Libby Weaver, who she came up with this term. And really, it's sort of, if you're feeling sort of these symptoms, you're probably falling into that category of having it. So you feel overwhelmed. You feel like you're always in a rush. Like, here's the telltale sign, right? When someone says, "How are you doing?" and you go, "I'm busy." That's usually the telltale sign that you have rushing women syndrome right there. Or when someone says, "How are you?" and I'm like, "I'm fine." You're not fine. Like my kids know, my husband knows when I say I'm fine, I'm definitely not fine. I'm feeling very stressed and overwhelmed. You may feel, like I mentioned earlier, tired yet wired. Like you're really tired when you wake up, but then you get this second wind at night. And then that's where you're kind of like, pushing the envelope. You're still on the computer late at night, maybe 11 o'clock at night and still going, and you have a hard time going to sleep or staying asleep. You feel like you don't have enough time. You feel like you need caffeine to get through the day. If you don't have that caffeine, like all bets are off, nothing's getting done. And then maybe because you feel wired late at night, you might reach for a glass of wine or alcohol to relax. Again, with the sleep, you're waking up, you feel restless, you don't feel rested when you wake up. Another sign is food cravings. I didn't necessarily have sugar cravings, but I had the snack cravings. It was like late in the afternoon. I was like, what can I eat? I want the carbs, right? I want the carbs. I want to eat all the snacks. Other things you might be dealing with health-wise, weight gain, more extreme PMS, IBS, bloating, digestive issues, headaches. Is anybody thinking, yes, I've had this? You might have had, or you might have now, rushing woman syndrome. And so let me just tell you, why is this kind of coming up so much lately? I think unique to women, especially, if you think about this, centuries ago, right? Women weren't working, right? We were in the home, taking care of families. And so that was kind of our role. But, now with, in modern times, we work, and we take care of families, and we take care of the home. Not to say that men aren't doing this too, or husbands or spouses, partners aren't doing this as well. But I think as women, I've definitely felt this myself. We often feel sort of the lion's share of like needing to get it all done. And sometimes it's not even we need to get it done, but it's an expectation that we often put in ourselves that like, I want to be the homeroom parent. I want to bring in the cupcakes for, the school party. I want to do this volunteer thing. I want to take on this extra project at work. I want to completely organize, my kitchen pantry. We take on all these extra things. And so it's just one of those things where we often take on more of the, additional work, additional volunteer things. And then we feel like we're rushed to get it all done. So I wanted to break this down for you. What does this kind of look like in our bodies? So the nervous system plays a huge role in the body's stress response. So the sympathetic nervous system is that fight or flight response. So kind of going back to like caveman days, right? Like when there was a tiger chasing after you, I mean, that was a good thing. That sort of initiated that fight or flight response, right? Like you fight with the tiger or you run away. And so that really served its purpose. And I'll get back to that in just a second. And then we also have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is sort of, the rest, digest, repair, reproduce. That's sort of like what that does. But what happens is when you're stressed all the time, right? That adrenaline that back in caveman days got you through, running away from a tiger or running away from something, right? But now your body can't tell the difference that you're running away from a tiger versus you're just on edge because you're going from project to project, or you're running kids all over town to extracurricular activities. Your body can't tell the difference. It just knows I'm in fight or flight mode. And so what happens is the adrenaline gets released out of your adrenal glands to initiate that fight or flight response, and then cortisol is released to tell your body that food is scarce. Now, kind of think about this. If you have experienced weight gain, right, that could be because your body is releasing that cortisol, thinking, I need to hold on to this body fat. I need to hold on to this weight because we don't know if we're going to eat. So again, weight gain, or maybe if you're having difficulty sleeping, that adrenaline's pumping because your body's like, you can't sleep right now because the tiger might be coming after us. So, this is sort of like, biologically what's happening in our bodies when we're constantly stressed. Now, sometimes, if we're just kind of stressed for a short period, but then we're relaxed again, then that parasympathetic is going to come into play where we feel rested and repaired. But if you're constantly rushing from one thing to the next, you might be in that constant fight or flight mode. So what this looks like with our reproductive system is you've got estrogen and progesterone, right? Those are two of our sort of main sex hormones. And the ratio to each other is what can affect your mood, your weight, your skin, menstruation. So when the body is constantly stressed, it's going to use up that cortisol, right? I mentioned that earlier, the adrenaline and the cortisol. But guess what? The cortisol can get depleted. And when the cortisol gets depleted, your body is going to use your sex hormones, especially progesterone, to produce it. So it's kind of like your battery's running on low, it's like low on power, and it's trying to find another energy source, which is that progesterone. So what does this look like if you've got a hormone test? It may look like you've got estrogen dominance, like you've got too much estrogen, not enough progesterone, and that can cause that hormonal imbalance. That is exactly what happened to me when I got my hormone test. It was estrogen dominance, very low progesterone. And I was like, what is going on with this? So that was what it was. It was because my body was depleting all the cortisol and using my progesterone. So this imbalance can cause reproductive issues, PMS, PCOS, endometriosis, early menopause, low libido, fertility issues, irritability, big time. That is what I experienced, and mood issues. So if you've experienced any of those things, this could be one of the reasons is you may also have that rushing woman syndrome. Now, how does this affect the digestive system? So again, when your body is in a constant state of stress, it can redirect blood away from the digestive system, right, needed to digest all of your food, and put it towards your arms and your legs, okay? So just kind of think about that. So your body's digesting, but it can't focus on that. It's like rushing to your arms and legs. So, in addition, if you're constantly in a rush, you're likely not chewing properly. Maybe you're eating on the go, right? Which can also cause those digestive issues. But because of this, because the body can't focus, right, on that digest and repair in the parasympathetic mode, you may experience things like bloating, diarrhea, constipation, heartburn, IBS, food intolerances. If you've had any of these issues, again, right, like kind of getting to root cause, it may be because you've got this rushing woman syndrome and your body's in that constant fight or flight mode. So we felt like it was really important for us to bring this topic to light, because I think a lot of people have these symptoms and don't really know what the root could be. And so we really wanted to highlight that tonight for all of you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this over to Stacey Cook, who's going to be talking more about the solutions.
Thank you, Tracy. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. That was great. And I have to say, I am definitely a rushing woman, or I have been. I have experienced all these things that you mentioned, sadly, but true. It's hard not to be. And in the past, I have found myself caught in that cycle, kind of like you were talking about, of never feeling like there's enough time in the day to get all the things done for all the people, using caffeine to gear up for the monumental tasks that I've laid out for myself, and then using a glass of wine at night to wind down from all the stresses of the day. So for me, that cycle led to chronic inflammation in my body, showing up as bloating, weight gain, poor sleep. And fortunately, just by making some simple diet and lifestyle changes and adding in a few natural solutions, I've gotten back on track and really slashed inflammation to bring my body back into balance. So we're going to start off talking about some of the things we can do, just simple diet changes to combat rushing woman syndrome and high cortisol levels. So in general, obviously, I know you already know this, but you want to have a diet of real food. That means shopping the perimeter of your grocery store, avoiding packaged foods as much as possible, and avoiding highly processed cooking oils like vegetable oil, canola oil, and margarine. Those are 100% not food. Think about it, like, how do you get oil out of a vegetable? It takes a whole lot of processing to do that. And you don't want to eat it. It's not good for you. So that's our baseline. Now, layer on top of that some magnesium-rich foods. So those are really beneficial when it comes to reducing inflammation and metabolizing cortisol and relaxing the body and mind. These are actually going to be your go-to if you feel like you are overwhelmed and want a quick calm down treat. Munch on some pumpkin seeds, have a little piece of dark chocolate. Foods high in magnesium include avocado, banana, dark chocolate, pumpkin seeds, those types of things. Another food you want to incorporate into your diet is ones that are high in omega-3s. Those are great for managing inflammation. So that's going to be like fatty fish. That's the most common source, but you can get it from some plant sources. So you're looking at salmon, flaxseed, avocado, even chia seed. And then another thing is vitamin B rich foods. So vitamin B12 in particular can help with the metabolism of cortisol. So you really want to make sure that you're getting your B vitamins. Your food sources for that are going to be beef, chicken, eggs, organ meats. That's right. This is a time to eat your beef liver. You can, just pan fry it. Yum. And also you want to make sure that you're getting enough protein to balance blood sugar levels. So I find that it can be really easy to load up on things like carbs and not really focus on protein. So you really want to make sure that every meal has a good amount of protein in it. You're thinking like 30 grams. And so obviously that's, your chicken, your beef, your eggs, salmon, shrimp. There are plant sources for protein, lentils. I prefer animal sources, but you can definitely find plant sources too. And I know we talked about, that cycle of using caffeine to like gear ourselves up to attack the day. So this one might seem a little counterintuitive, but green tea can actually be really good for our body. It has L-theanine in it, which is a natural calming component. So I recommend green tea if you're, trying to maybe back off of caffeine. Uh, Switching over to green tea can be a good option. It also has a lot of anti-inflammatory properties. And one last thing you want to do is make sure that you're incorporating fermented foods. So obviously fermented foods support our gut health. Our gut health is such a bellwether of our total body health. So we really want to make sure that we're supporting it. Sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, all of those types of things are great for making sure that we've got all the good bacteria going on in our guts. So fermented foods. The things you want to avoid generally are alcohol, caffeine, simple carbs like cake and pastries and soda and high sugar foods. All really common sense things, but those are also the things that I think we can kind of gravitate to when we are feeling overwhelmed and stressed. So um, just kind of a mental note to, prepare yourself and maybe prepare yourself with some healthier go-to options so that you don't find yourself in a stress state and reaching for things that are just going to exacerbate the situation. Now, obviously, we can't rely solely on foods to de-stress. So while these foods may help reduce your cortisol levels, they're not going to have a significant impact on their own if you're not prioritizing stress management in other ways. So let's talk about some lifestyle changes. Now, obviously, we've got some non-negotiables, right? We're going to focus on quality sleep. Sleep is everything, people. If you are not sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night and you don't have a newborn, then it is time to reevaluate your sleep routine. Sleep is so critical because it is restorative. That is when our cells are able to repair themselves. In a minute, we're going to talk a little bit more. I'm going to share some products that may help with sleep, but there are basics that you can do, like making sure your room is really dark and cold. We tend to sleep better in a cold, dark room. Um, and here's a tip. I don't know if anyone else struggles with this, but for me, I often struggle with bringing my phone to bed with me and then scrolling for like a half an hour. And then my mind starts going, and it's just a real bad combination. But I've been using this app. It's called the Brick app, and you can brick your phone, which means that it like shuts down certain apps at a certain time, and they're not available to you until you unbrick it. And so I take all the social media off my phone. It doesn't take it off, but it just makes it unavailable. You click on it and it says, this is a distraction. Um, and so I can't lay in bed and scroll social media because it's just not available to me. So if you really struggle with it, check that app out. But definitely, avoiding the any screens in the evening is helpful. We all know that. Another key component to managing stress is moving your body. It's so important. And there's so many ways you can address movement. If you're not currently incorporating any regular movement practice or working out, I would simply encourage you to start walking for 30 minutes a day. And you don't even have to do it all at once. Like 3 10-minute walks around the block is going to be so impactful on your health. And it's so simple. It's just a really little thing you can do. So that is a fine starting point, and it will serve you well. So we've already talked about diet. So obviously we're going to eat as clean as we can. Um, so what additional steps can we take to kind of quell the stress and bring balance? Obviously, we need to prioritize self-care. And I know it's so easy to say. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel guilty when I'm like, I'm just going to take some time for self-care for myself. I'm going to spend some money on some self-care for myself. And I think, oh, I could do other things with this time and money. But it is so important. It is not selfish. It is essential for maintaining overall well-being. And it can be something like yoga, meditation, or just enjoying a hobby you love. Like maybe you like crocheting. Take the time to sit down and do it and don't feel guilty about it. Um, it's really important. And then also practicing mindfulness. And really, all that means is being present in the moment. So, whether it's sitting down and having a meal with your family or driving in your car, rather than allowing your mind to race through 100 different things and not be there at all, just practice feeling the moment with all your senses. So, it's like, how does this feel? How does this taste? What do I smell? What do I hear? Just try and be present in a moment. And you don't have to be doing this constantly all day long, but when you find yourself doing something in particular, allow yourself to just focus on that task and fully feel it. And you will feel a calm with that practice. The other thing, and I know this is easy to say, for me, it's not easy to do, and that's delegate. I am a control freak. I like things done the way I like them done. So it is really hard for me to let go. Um, but I know a lot of you know this as a wife and a mom, we carry so much of the household mental load, like all the things, all the appointments, all the responsibilities, making sure this gets done, that gets done, all the things. Um, so it's really important that we delegate because we can't be solely responsible for all the appointment setting, coordinating, planning, on and on and on. So this is going to look different for everyone. For me, I've just picked like categories in my household that I choose not to deal with. And I told my husband, this is yours. So like anything that happens with the car, I don't care what it is, good, bad, ugly, it's yours. Like I don't want to hear about it. Um, and obviously he does other things in the car, but it's just picking those, for me, it's picking those categories. And then this is also a great, opportunity to encourage your kids, if you have them in the household, to help out too. Um, so you've got to take some things off your plate because we can't do it all, even if we know we do it the best. Um, so and that kind of goes along with just saying no. Learning to say no and setting clear boundaries is essential for managing rushing woman syndrome. You have to understand your limits and communicate them to others. Um, you have to protect your time and energy and ensure you don't overcommit. That's the only way you're going to really be able to stay balanced. Um, I encourage you to give yourself permission to say no and to say yes to the things that you know will bring you joy, or that you really feel you need to be present for. And for the things that you're like, meh, just allow yourself to let them go. I know it can be hard sometimes, especially if you have FOMO, but just try it. I think it will be good. Um, and then this one is a little bit different, but it is really impactful. So when we are in a stressed state and our hormones like cortisol start to go out of whack, one thing we really don't want to do is exacerbate that with more environmental toxins like synthetic fragrances. So we want to remove environmental toxins from our homes. So we want to find replacements for synthetic fragrances with things like essential oils, diffusers. We don't want any scented candles because all those synthetic fragrances will wreak havoc on your endocrine system and all those hormones that we want to stay balanced. So this is the same reason that we want to make sure we're using non-toxic household cleaners like Thieves Cleaner, like all the cleaners in our home. We don't want those to be adding and layering on upon um, our hormonal imbalances caused by brushing and all those types of things. Okay. So those are some of the lifestyle changes that we can make. Now, in addition to diet and lifestyle, there are obviously some natural solutions we can add in. So I've got some things here that I want to share with you. Some of these I use daily, and I can feel the difference if I don't use them. They're simply part of my ongoing wellness regimen at this point, and they're critical for me. And others I use more as like stopgap measures if things get really unbalanced, or if I've been traveling or schedules have been off and it's just made things get a little out of whack. So the first one here is NingXia Red. Now, this is a daily must-have for me. It is an antioxidant supplement drink. It's made from wolfberries. Wolfberries are the same thing as the goji berry, just depends on the region they're grown in. And they've been studied extensively and clinically shown to help with energy, sleep, inflammation, like all the things we want to regulate that get impacted by rushing woman syndrome, right? Um, so if I could pick only one of the natural solutions we're going to go through, this would be it. It is a powerhouse for addressing chronic inflammation and dealing with that root cause inflammation of so many chronic illnesses, and has a huge impact on overall well-being. Now, Cortistop is a capsule, and it naturally balances the stress response by lowering cortisol levels in the body. So now, ideally, we don't want to rely on a supplement to do this, right? We want our body to be able to do this, but sometimes our body needs extra help. So this supplement is designed to be taken for 4 to 6 weeks and then stop. So it helps balance and reset your cortisol levels. I usually take it about once every 3 months, and I immediately notice a difference. I feel like it really brings an element of calm to my day. I use a device to measure my and track my metabolism. And I find that when I take Cortistop, it improves my metabolic flexibility. And that's a really important component of well-being is to be metabolically flexible, to be able to shift from fat burning to carb burning. And when I can see the results from the Cortistop in these device measurements, it's really amazing. So I love doing a course of Cortistop, every few months. Um, Another one, Super B. So we already talked a little bit about B vitamins. So these are crucial for our adrenal glands to function properly. They provide a boost of energy that can be so helpful when you're feeling run down by the stresses of the day. I make sure to take these in the morning since they do give me energy. I really don't take them after 3 p.m. Um, and sure, ideally, you're getting your basic vitamins from the foods you eat, but unless you're eating really clean and you're really balancing your different and combining your foods properly, you could probably benefit from supplementing some of these more critical nutrients, which brings me to mineral essence. So, mineral essence it provides ionic minerals that your body can absorb, and it's high in magnesium, which we already learned is key for metabolizing cortisol in the body. Now, our adrenals run off of minerals. So, adding them for adrenal support is really good. Um, I like to add my mineral essence to my NingXia Red. I think it tastes good. It's got like a little bit of a minerally cinnamoniness to it. Um, Now, I don't actually use mineral essence all the time. I usually order a bottle of it like every 2 to 3 months, and I use it till it's gone. So, depending on where your starting point is, it might make sense to use it regularly until you feel like you've brought balance back into your body, or it might be something you use more intermittently to give yourself a little extra support. Now, a few other products that we hear testimonials about over and over related to balancing the endocrine system and stress in general are some oil blends I want to share with you. So the first is Endoflex. Endoflex is really great for just entire endocrine system support, which includes your adrenal glands. So this blend has nutmeg, which is really supportive of our adrenals, and you can use this blend topically or internally. So I use it topically about 99% of the time. Um, I put it over my thyroid, the base of your neck, and then I put it over my lower back, which is where your adrenals are. Um, if I feel really wiped out or really fatigued, then I'll add a few drops to a veggie cap and take it internally for extra support. Um, and then there are just some really favorites of mine, like Stress Away Blend. So that is supportive for releasing stress and tension. So it's got vanilla, lime, lavender, cedarwood, copaiba. It's just a really calming blend. Smells like a tropical vacation in a bottle. You can use it like a perfume or add it to your diffuser in the evening. It's great around bedtime for sleep. Just really great overall. Like treat yourself to some stress away and feel the calm. Now, Tranquil Blend is a it only comes as a roller, so it's something you're going to use topically, and it's really good if you are one of those people who can't shut your brain off at night. Like you get in bed and it just keeps going, 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 and you think about the never-ending to-do list, right? Because it does never end. There's always something on it, and so really we could think about it forever. But Tranquil has lavender, cedarwood, and Roman chamomile, and Roman chamomile is really good for helping to just shut the brain down, let you get some rest and get to sleep. So Tranquil Blend is really, really great for that. Um, now the last one on here is kind of like the big daddy, and that is Progestins Plus. So Progestins Plus is a little bit different. It is a blend of naturally derived progesterone from wild yam extract and essential oils, and that helps to bring balance to the body. So Tracy already mentioned this, but when cortisol levels increase, our progesterone levels decrease. And that's because progesterone is a precursor to cortisol. It's used to make cortisol. So when our cortisol is going up, it's using up our progesterone, which means that's being depleted in our body, which then means the estrogen becomes dominant. So then we end up with all of those symptoms of estrogen dominance, which can be things like headaches, anxiety, weight gain, mood swings, all those things. So Progestins Plus really helps maintain balance. And it's like an oil, you apply it topically, and it can be really helpful for those things. Um, Highly recommend that one. So now you have a bunch of ideas on small changes you can make to address imbalances and inflammation that can happen when we're overly stretched and overly stressed. Um, and we do have an easy button for you. So that is the 14-day reset. So the 14-day reset is 14 days of eating clean, moving daily, staying hydrated, and drinking NingXia Red. You get meal plan options, fitness plan options, and tons of support for free. All you do is order NingXia Red to join in. So the 14 days is actually what opened my eyes to the fact that I still had inflammation in my body to address. After I did a couple rounds of the reset, we run it every month, I lost 15 pounds of bloat and inflammation that I didn't even really think I had to lose. And my energy has been through the roof. So I went from drinking, multiple cups of caffeine every day to one a day at most. Some days I don't even have any. I drink black tea. That's my caffeine of choice. But sometimes I don't even have any. So it's really changed things for me. And I don't feel the need for a glass of wine at night to wind down anymore because I'm not coming from a place of feeling anxious and unbalanced. So join the 14-day reset. Just message the person who invited you to watch this call. They can help you get connected. They can help you get connected to all of the free resources, get your NingXia, and grab any additional products you need, like Cortistop or Progestins Plus, and even the Thieves cleaning products. If you're just beginning to detox your household products, that's a really good starting place. And you can mark your calendar because our next class is all about natural cleaning, and that's going to be on Tuesday, June 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget, you can always earn loyalty points with Young Living. If you're already a Young Living customer, please do me a favor and make sure that you're ordering the best way to maximize your wellness budget, which is adding your items to your loyalty order. You can earn 10 to 25% back in points that way. And so that is what we have for you tonight. I hope this is helpful. We do have a couple minutes. Tracy, do we have time to open it to questions if anyone has any questions?
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
We have a couple of minutes.
Awesome. So if anyone had questions, you're welcome to type them into the chat. I'll look and see if I missed anything. I wasn't looking at the chat.
I think this might be helpful for anyone who's watching the replay, but we had someone who asked, they have an allergy to stevia, and stevia is in NingXia Red. And so she was asking for a suggestion. And you may not know this, but Young Living has wolfberries. So you can buy the wolfberries and actually use that and like steep it in like warm or hot water, and just drink it like a tea. Or you could like eat the wolfberries like in a salad or put it in a smoothie. But that could be another way where you get the same benefits as NingXia Red, but you're getting it right just direct from the wolfberries themselves. And they're really delicious, actually. They're like dried wolfberries, so they're almost like a craisin. So honestly, I'm like, this tastes delicious, and you can just like eat it even as like a snack with some pumpkin seeds that Stacy had mentioned earlier. So that's one idea. And the second question that we got, and maybe Stacy, I'll pass this over to you, is someone asked us, it's hard to know when to take Progestins Plus. Do you have a recommendation on how much to use and how often? What do you like to do?
I can tell you what I've done, but first I have to tell you that I do steep those dried wolfberries in my French press, and it is delicious. It is so, so good. So good. Sherry gave me some recently. Thank you, Sherry. So for Progestins Plus, I think it's a personal preference. So I actually haven't taken it for about a year because I stopped taking it after I moved into menopause. I haven't needed it. It's not what my body needs. But before that, I took it for years, and I would take it in the morning and I would apply it to my forearms and my neck. Now, I know some people prefer to use it in the evening because some people say it makes them sleepy or tired. I never had that experience. So I think it's the type of thing where, every body is different. You can choose a starting point, like 1 to 2 drops, maybe on your forearms in the morning and see how that goes. So that's what I would recommend.
I was just going to
I'm
add,
looking at the
I was just going
questions.
to add that I also tend to take it in the morning. I don't find that it makes me sleepy. And what I have learned from other people is yes, like right here on the wrists and also along the jawline, which is great, especially if you ever deal with like PMS, like pimples or breakouts, especially like around your chin, which I do. So that can be really helpful, even just around the chin. And yes, we're hearing here in the comments, even if you're postmenopausal, right, you can still use Progestins Plus. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. That's definitely a phase of life that is kind of coming around the corner for me as well. Yeah. These are really great questions. Okay, do we have any more? Oh, they're asking Stacy, what do you use to track your metabolism? What is that tool or the app that you're using?
Um, I use a device, it's called a lumen, and it measures your breath. So it can kind of tell if you're burning fat or carbs. And it just helps you kind of achieve metabolic flexibility, um, because that is a real good indicator of just general well-being and health. Mm.
Thank you. That's super helpful. Well, here is sort of next steps because we've only just got about 1 minute left. So Stacy told you next week we've got an intro to natural cleaning, and that would be a really great introduction if you're kind of just coming into this and want to also look at some other ways to make some healthy swaps in your home. But we'll have this replay available. We would love for you to share it with a friend, and maybe even do a watch party with them. And you could also introduce them to the natural solutions that we've suggested. Again, the easy button really is going to be that 14-day reset. We actually just started yesterday, but you can come in again next month and bring a friend with you. That's going to be a really great thing to do. But just wanted to say thank you all for being here. Thank you, Stacy, as always, one of my favorite co-hosts. Love doing these workshops with you. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight, and we'll share the replay soon so you can share with a friend. Thanks, everyone.